Hi everyone, and it is Kate here to do a tag that as soon as I saw it, I was like, I cannot do this tag soon enough. I am a very typical booktuber in that I adore fall. I'm kind of grumpy during all of the summer heat, so I am just really realizing summer is totally my least favorite season, but it's followed by my favorite season, and that is autumn. And so over at Tall Tales, she did this tag. She created an original new fall tag, which is really fun because you can never have too many fall tags in my opinion. So this is the It's Finally Fall tag, and the questions are just perfect, and I was so excited to get to this tag. So the first question says, in the fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. And I totally agree with that too. I think some of these really cool days, the air just looks extra clear and everything looks so like vivid and beautiful. So the book that I went for was Sylvia's Lovers by Elizabeth Gaskell. And this is one that is set in a shore town in the north of England, in the fictional town of Monkshaven, but inspired by the real town of Whitby, which is a whaling community at the time that this book is set. And it's very just incredibly vivid. It didn't feel like any other place I had read about. It was really neat just to see how the whole economy of the town is based on whaling, and just that really did affect the setting and just gave it this really nautical feel, but also very cold and just made it feel very, very cozy to read and nice to be in a warm place. So incredibly vivid setting that has still really stayed with me a year out. Question 2 says, nature is beautiful, and it is beautiful in the autumn, but it's also dying. So in the process, we do get some beautiful colors out of that, but it is dying. And so she wants us to name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. And of course, As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. This was one of my favorite books of 2016. I adored it so much. It was my first Faulkner, and it was one of those books that I read and said, I did not know books could be like this. It was absolutely incredible. It's really gritty and grotesque, but at the same time incredibly beautiful with lots of symbolism and just really vivid imagery, and I really do love it. And I think having a buddy read helped me to get through my first Faulkner. So yes, definitely a beautiful, beautiful book. The next one says, fall is back to school season. Share a non-fiction book that taught you something new. And one that I just read and absolutely loved was This Victorian Life by Sarah Chrisman. This is a memoir of this couple, Sarah and Gabriel, who decided to live as authentically Victorian in this day and age as they could. They live in the Pacific Northwest, and they bought a house in Oregon, a Victorian house. And gradually, eventually, they took out their electric refrigerator, and they took out the stove that they had and put in, fireplaces, and they got Victorian bikes, and just changed all aspects of their life that were possible to do over the course of a couple of years. That, it's expensive to do that all at once, but it was really sweet to see just their love for the Victorian era, and I was so happy they had found one another. And they just had such a delight in it. And so it was really neat to see their just really kind of simpler, slower lifestyle, but they really enjoyed spending time together and just having things slow down. And it was really enlightening also about more things about the Victorian era I didn't know. The next question says, in order to keep warm, it is good to spend time with the people you love. Name a fictional family or household or friend group that you'd like to be a part of. And since I have Victorian literature on the mind lately, I picked George Eliot's Daniel Deronda. If you know one of the main characters, Mira Lapidoth, when she has nowhere to stay, she's kind of a foundling, she ends up staying with the Meyrick family, which is comprised of a widowed mother, her son, Hans, and then her 3 daughters. And it is just so much fun to hang out with this family. You unfortunately do not get nearly enough scenes with them, but they just have such a love for arts and culture and just having cozy fun at home that they really made me want to be a part of their family. Question 5 says the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show a pile of fall colored spines. All right, let's see if I can do this without knocking any over. Ooh. Here's my pile of fall colored spines. So we have Desiring God by John Piper, The Penderwicks at Point Muette, Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, My Antonio by Willa Cather, My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier, Little House on the Prairie by Laura Ingalls Wilder, Madam Will You Talk by Mary Stewart, Anne of Windy Poplars by Ellen Montgomery, Wigs on the Green by Nancy Mitford, and also by Nancy Mitford, Highland Fling, and All Things Wise and Wonderful by James Herriot. I didn't think I had that many autumnal colored books, but once I started looking, I found them. So yes. The next question says, fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein someone is telling a story. So I promise, on my honor, before I even saw Marlon's answer to this, when I was looking at the questions as I was watching the video, I like to look at the questions in advance, and I thought the 13th tale, and then she held up the 13th tale. But I think I'll just stick with it because it is the first thing that came to mind, and also now going into the autumn months, it's making me really nostalgic for when I read this last year. Oh, such a treat. And this is, there aren't many modern popular fictional books that I really like as much as a lot of people on BookTube do. And so I went in with very low expectations and they were so exceeded. I absolutely love this story. It's about this author, Vi de Winter, who wants this lady to write her biography. And she never really does many interviews, and she invites her to come to her house, and it's just full of secrets. And it's definitely, if you like Victorian literature, this is a treat, and I will definitely reread this. I don't think this year, but I'm so happy that I finally got around to reading it because everyone kept telling me how much I would like it. Okay, the next one is The Nights Are Getting Darker. Share a dark, creepy read. So one that was so creepy that I don't know if I'll ever work up the courage to read it again, and that is A Sight for Sore Eyes by Ruth Rendell. Now, what I typically read by Ruth Rendell are the Inspector Wexford books, and this felt so chaotic in comparison because this is a standalone. There are no police involved, and there are crazy, psychotic things happening. And this one person in particular, someone needs to stop him. Where are the police? I just felt so on edge the whole time. What's really fun is eventually when I get to it, though, she kind of ended up using it as a prequel to an Inspector Wexford called The Vault, which I have one before that to get to. So I really do think it'll be fun to kind of hopefully see some justice happen, and hopefully Inspector Wexford will be able to make heads or tails of this case that's then going to be 20 years old. So yes, A Sight for Sore Eyes by Ruth Rendell. Next is The Days Are Getting Colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. So one that I am currently reading, and another one that is very popular and has been a lovely surprise, is The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. And I was just looking around for different audiobooks, and it was there, and basically 5 minutes in, I thought, okay, I'm really going to love this book. It is set in England, so there we go. But also, it's a book for book lovers. There's so many books referenced, and it's also just really great with human companionship and relationships and just people really encouraging each other through hard times. So it's people looking back on World War II, and it's such a gem. And it's very, very short. So I'm already almost finished with the audiobook, and I feel like I've put in barely any time for it. And the next question is, in the fall, luckily, it's my favorite season too. Marlon said it's hers. It says, it returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. So in all of the October planning that I have been doing, I have just been thinking so much about Wives and Daughters, and I know I don't stop talking about it, but I really want to reread it. So I do think maybe next year when I'm not reading as much because I'll be taking care of a newborn, it could be fun to very, very slowly savor this and take 2 or even 3 or 4 months to read this. I think that could be really nice. And to really, before I listen to the audiobook, but I have this Barnes & Noble edition that has tons of notes just all throughout it. So to really look at the notes, and I just recently read the introduction and it made me love it even more. So yes, Wives and Daughters is one that I've really been wanting to get to again. The next question says, fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. So I do like to have like a cozy garment of some kind, so like a scarf, a really like squishy scarf. And then a couple years ago, my friend crocheted me this beautiful shawl. So I think it's really cool. And I also love how Victorian it looks. And then another thing, if I'm doing audiobooks, I love to be doing some comfy, cozy, squishy knitting. So if any of you watched my knitting video, you saw this sweater that I'm working on. This is the same piece that I showed in that video. So I really do, really love having comfy knitting to do while I am listening to an audiobook. And then lastly, if I'm going to be drinking a cozy beverage, these are my two of my favorite mugs. This is from the same friend who crocheted that for me. She brought this to me from Mexico, and I think it's such a beautiful mug. It's just so interesting and unique looking, and I love it. And then my sister got me this a couple years ago for my birthday, and I think it's so beautiful. I love that it's like, it looks like a teacup, but it's basically a coffee mug size. That's what I really like, to have like a big old cup of tea. Alrighty, those were all the questions, and then let's see, I wrote down who I wanted to tag. Who is it? Okay, so I would like to tag, it says spread the autumn appreciation and tag some friends. So I would like to tag Katie at Books and Things, Kate at The Novel Nomad, Emma at The Bookish Princess, Katie at Life Between Words, and Stephanie at That's What She Read. These ladies, I think, all would kind of enjoy talking about cozy autumnal reads, being booktubers as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and thank you so much, Marlon, for making this tag, and I will see you guys for another video soon. Bye.